This week's podcast, I'm very excited to introduce Marcella, first female entrepreneur we're going to have on the show, first of many, I hope. Marcella absolutely crushes it at what she does, because it's one thing to be good at real estate, but it's another thing to have a good reputation within your community to where people want to interact with you and want to deal with you. So really excited to have her on here. Main things that we're talking about is the importance of stability through this podcast. So if that's something that you are working on in your life, Marcella is going to be a great resource for that information. So thanks for checking it out. We have Marcella Torrez here, who's an now Haley, right?
Yes.
I forgot about that. Congrats again. She just got married not too long ago. Quick little intro for Marcella. Absolute fucking unit in real estate. I met her years ago and we've stayed in touch since, and I say real estate, but it's really honestly everything she touches, she just takes everything to the next level. Everybody loves her. She's got a great reputation out there, and so I am super excited to have you on this podcast with us.
Thanks, Keegan. I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you. Yeah. So, tell the people about yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
Well, Marcella Torrez. Marcella Haley. I haven't technically changed it on paper yet, but I am Marcella Haley. I got married almost 3 months ago, and I'm a mother to 2 boys, 12 and 7, and I love to help people into a stable environment that gives them the ability to grow. And I think a lot of the times we can't grow because we're getting moved around, and so I've gone through that myself, and I think putting people into permanent homes and first homes and generational wealth, that's what I do and what I love. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Love it. I'm going to come back to this in a minute, but you said stable environment, and I loved the intention of those words that you used. We'll come back to that, but that was cool.
Yes.
So, first thing we like to start off with is the bedrock moment.
Okay.
So crazy story, funny story, whatever comes to mind. What was a bedrock moment for you?
I think the very first bedrock moment in my life was very early on in my career. I got my license, and my mother's been licensed for 26 years, so it was pretty automatic to think that I would go to her brokerage. I didn't do any of my own due diligence. I just went with my mother's brokerage, and really quickly learned that there was only like 5 of us, and all of them were at least 60 or older.
Oh, yeah,
and
nice.
So while I learned a lot from the supervisor or the broker, she was also kind enough to give me a full-time job doing property management. But I got my first client. I closed on my first transaction, and for 17 years, my mother had only been paying a $500 transaction fee. Wow. But when she saw my first commission, she wanted to take 30% of it.
Oh,
and
wow.
There was no, I didn't do my due diligence, and so there really wasn't any type of like a realtor agent or broker agent agreement with her, and it was really crazy because I had never made that much money, and I just like seeing somebody being just like, this isn't yours, it's mine, after I had put that much work into it, was pretty crazy. She tried to do like a $30,000 a year cap agreement on me in the middle of getting paid, which I think was pretty insane to me.
And sorry, really quick, for those who aren't in real estate or don't know the back end, what does a $30,000 cap mean?
It means that you're going to be paying 30% of your commission until that 30% has reached $30,000, which is a lot of money. And my expectation was the same deal that my mom had, which was $500
Sure.
per transaction. So I think that was my first bedrock moment, because I had to learn to fight for myself. It was probably more than half of my total income for like the last 5 years. And so seeing somebody trying to just be like, No prior agreement, but now that I have the money.
Oh, since it's here.
Yeah, since it's here, let's just change it. And I made a decision in that moment once she agreed, because I had it first commission, first transaction. I don't know what I'm doing. I had to go to the board of realtors, see if this was even legal.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah.
And it wasn't. So she agreed to release it, and then I moved. And I think that was like the biggest beg rock moment, because I didn't know what I was doing, and I basically just left. But I wasn't going to let somebody control my business, especially as I had just started being independent.
Starting to get it.
Yeah, my own boss, and then somebody's going to tell me without any prior agreement that they're taking my full commission. That was like pretty crazy, and it was like the very first thing that happened as I got my license. And I realized in that moment that real estate isn't a team effort, it's a solo effort, and that nobody's gonna watch my back, and nobody really cares about my progress or my personal interest but myself.
That's really cool that you said that, because my wife's, there's something she probably started saying a year-ish ago, and it started hitting me maybe like 6 months ago. Like she'd say it and I'm like, yeah, I know. But then I started getting it, and she said, nobody will take care of you as well as you can take care of yourself. Like at the end of the day, if someone has to like save their life over their own, more often than not, they're gonna take care of themselves. And it's not a cynic view, I don't think. I think it's just like the baseline, we're humans, we're animals. Like at the very base, we're also animals on this planet, and our main thing is to survive.
Yeah, and you can't give anybody, 100 if you don't give yourself 100. And so I think that was like a really big moment for me, because I stood up for myself and I walked away with my money. And my mom shortly after left the brokerage as well, and I've been in the same place since. I'm not one to transition a lot, so it was a good move, and I still sit really firmly on that. Walk
me through some of the thought process or even conversations of, like, let's start when you initially heard, hey, you're not going to get 30%. Yeah, I would love to hear more about that.
There wasn't even an explanation. She just sent a document via email and said, before I can release your check, you gotta sign this agreement. And I just remember like skimming through it and being like, wait a minute, hold on, what? 30 grand? And I don't even comprehend what that means, because I had never been with another company. And so hearing that was kind of crazy to me. I had to actually go talk to my mom and be like, what does this even mean? It was really upsetting, and it was super disheartening. And I remember feeling really let down, because you get hired by this person, or they bring you on and they're mentoring you, and then they see the success and then they want to take a hold of it. And so coming from corporate America and not, living a mediocre life is what I like to say prior, I could not. I was like, abso-freaking-lutely, you're not taking more than what we had even verbally agreed to. If you didn't get anything in writing, then...
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say her name, but she was very system-based, which I can say I learned a lot from her, but she had taught me that unless you have it in writing, unless it's signed, unless, you read it and you have a copy of it, then it's not legal. And so I kind of pushed that on her, and I was like, you didn't let me know ahead of time. I had no prior warning. I didn't sign anything. I didn't agree to anything. So you can't just keep the check. And I think it took almost 2 weeks.
Oh, geez. So even the waiting period, too.
It took almost 2 weeks of fighting back and forth. And I also had 2 other transactions under contract. And so...
And then thinking about what you would lose from those?
Exactly. And so she was trying to say, well, I will release it on this one, but for the next 2, that's the agreement. And if you're not in real estate and you put them under contract under a certain company, technically they belong to the broker. They don't belong to you. And so she would have had to have agreed to let me take them. So So after 2 weeks of back and forth, I got the real estate board involved. She agreed to do those 3 with the 500 and then anything after, but I immediately found another brokerage. I didn't tell her. I actually put 2 other houses under contract under an agent that worked over at that brokerage. And then as soon as I got paid on them, I moved and then we switched them over to my name. So I didn't lose them. But I think it was like it was in those first couple months where I was like, you're not going to mess with me because this is mine. I worked hard for it. And then you make that money for the first time and you're like, I'm definitely coming back for more. And you're not taking any of it unless I feel like you're doing something for me. So
For sure. Yeah. Like if it's earned. It's different when it's earned, right?
It needs to be earned. And I'm really big on that fairness.
100%. Well, and to put in perspective too, right? Those 3 deals, that'd be 30, 60, 90. It's almost like doing all the work and then not getting paid for a 4th deal in what you're giving up. And I just think about like the money that you make off of those was more than you were making in previous years.
Yeah.
And so to see like, I've been busting my ass trying to get out of where I've been, and now there's another restraint on my potential.
And I already have it, and it's right there. And I think my life is so different today than it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I was just coming out of a really nasty relationship. I was a single mother of 2 boys. We did not have a stable environment. And although my mother has been in real estate her whole life, and I lived in a basement for one of her rentals, it wasn't mine. And, the boys didn't have their own room. I had never been able to really pay for sports or do anything like that. So it wasn't even just the money. She was taking away mine and my kids' progress and future. And that wasn't happening. So I made those decisions really quick. And I think that instance put me into a position where I was able to fully grow. And so I'm so thankful that it happened.
Of course.
But yeah, I think it was pretty crazy.
Well, and it's cool to see there's a fork in the road at that point, right? There's only 2 directions you can take. 1, submit, eat it, fall back into a similar pattern, similar mentality you've been in the past. Or 2, nope, I'm putting my foot down. I initially did this to make a change for myself, for my kids, for our future, and I'm not going to allow anything to get in the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like that split-second decision between doing what I think a lot of people said was normal and doing what I felt I could do. And I think I've self-validated myself really quickly in real estate. I thought I was going to do amazing and I needed nobody's help. And throughout,
and you have.
And I've done really well, but there's definitely things where I'm like, well, I didn't know that 2-3 years later, but it's probably because I haven't been in those environments where, there's a team or an on-site broker. But yeah, I think it was either, it wasn't even a decision of like staying there. It was like, this environment is not going to let me grow. And I could just see her wanting to take a piece of everything that I was building, and I had never had anything. And so I was like, no way, you're not. Like, this is my little baby, and I can see where I'm going, and you're not going to be the person to say like, oh, you got there because of me, or I'm going to give you all of this. And a lot of people will say, well, half the grape is better than the full grape. But I'm
taking the grape.
Yeah, I'm taking
the whole bundle.
Yes, exactly.
I'm getting the Costco special.
And I think a lot of people would be like, well, that's pretty normal. You go to a brokerage, and I think a lot of, everybody's different.
Total, 100%.
Everybody's different, and I didn't see myself in that. And so that's why I didn't go that direction.
That's awesome. And so I see agents, and I know you do all the time, that are with teams. There's one that I've been in conversations with, I've known him for years, and they are taking home as little as 40 or 30%. And there's a lot of them that kind of just, that fork in the road, they chose the other direction. Why do you think, what advice would you give to help someone find the courage to take that other path? Like what in the moment when you were coming into it, right? Because again, painting the picture for all you guys watching, this is the first time you've came into money like this, And it's very easy to fearfully go, you know what, this is still good. Like this is still okay. So what do you think was different in your mind in that moment to change?
I always wonder what was different, and it's made business a little bit more difficult because now I'm so far in that I'm like, there's no way I could join a team ever.
Oh, yeah, right.
Because that would just be going backwards. My mom has never been on a team, and she's always just been a solo agent, and so I think just because of that, like my brain didn't actually even work in that way. Like I had never seen real estate performed in a team setting, like her going into like an office with a bunch of people. It was always just her and a couple women, where she worked for like Century 21 and Alpro and a bunch of other places I can't remember right now, but it was always her solo. And so I think it didn't even come to my mind like, oh, I'm going to join a team, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. It became a very big like, I'm going to show them. It was really just that. I think I operated on I'm going to show them, and I just have ran with that, where I didn't see the point in giving people my money. I had been doing that for so freaking long, and I needed it. Like, I needed it more than they needed it. And so I'm like, if you're not doing something for me, and I didn't feel like I needed anybody to do anything for me, and so maybe that was another thing too. Okay. I am very like jump and just figure out as you go. I mean, even my first transaction, I just sent the offer, and she's like, you forgot this, I'm like, oh,
I'm learning.
I didn't even know that I didn't say that. I just said, oh my gosh, I forgot it.
Yeah.
And I learned to go that way. I think a lot of people, I would say if you're getting your license and you haven't actually picked a team yet, pick a couple agents to either like shadow or mentor and just kind of see the situation. I think a lot of the times we're really honest and we'll tell you like,
totally,
yeah, I'm on a team and it freaking sucks, or I like being solo, but here are the downsides. There's still days to this day that I think, damn, if I had just a broker on site or something, like I wouldn't have done that because I would have known better, or those mistakes wouldn't have happened because somebody would have taught me that process, but I'm still fine. So it's not something that you can't get past. I would just say identify your why. And if your why is, I'm a single person, and this is good money for me, and I'm more of a volume person as opposed to like the amount of money that's coming in, because really, like, you've worked for Edge. Mm-hmm. You sold hundreds and hundreds of homes and made an amazing salary. And so it just depends on how you want to do it. I didn't want to work 4 times the amount. That was never the objective. The objective was to make more money and be home more time so that I could be with my kids. And I think sometimes those system setups require you to do even more so that you can kind of get to that midline. And so for me, I always saw it like, okay, why would I go to the team if I could just get 7, 10 on my own? I've now made the same amount of money that I was
20
over there.
or 25 on it. Yeah, 100%.
And the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's just greener where you water it. And my mom's always said, if you're going to be smart, you'll be smart in public school and private. So
That's awesome.
So you don't deserve anything, additional. If you want to do well, you'll do well.
I agree with that 100%. And I love you'll be smart in public school or private school. One thing that I feel I've noticed over my life is the difference of someone's level of book smart versus street smart. And I feel like the street smart is a lot more innovative, pivoting, like back against the wall, like gotta figure this out. Whereas the book smart is let me go, and neither of them are bad. They have their purposes, they have their objectives. But the book smart is more of let me use the information that someone has told me that I haven't personally experienced to go try something to gain the experience. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But in my I can only speak for my personal life. I feel like I've relied a lot more heavily on the street smart side of things. And I think because of that, it's kind of the school of hard knocks.
Yeah, is.
There's some lessons you learn that are just, wow, really didn't want to learn that lesson. But then when you look back, you're like, oh, this is a good thing that needed to happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My mom definitely raised 3 street smart kids. And I now have two boys. And I think 2 years ago, my eldest son was in parent-teacher conference. And his teacher was like, I don't know how to say this without, like, she's like, I'm not trying to offend you at all because we need both in the world. She said, but there's street smart and then there's book smart. And she's
wait, the teacher said this? That's crazy.
She's like, and Jaden is just a street smart type of kid. And he's so funny. He's, taking a pack of gum to school and selling each slice for 50 cents. And I'm like,
hell yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, that works for me, I guess. He's just that, you can only be what you saw. And I know my son sees a really hardworking woman. Like, I work a lot. And maybe I don't put like as much emphasis on education. Like, let's sit down and do this, and this. But I promise you, if I left my kid somewhere, he would be okay. And I see and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but then there's other children, that I see and they would die. They would literally die in a few minutes, by themselves. And I'm not teaching them to be I want them to be self-sufficient, but not only that, I want them to be self-motivated. And so my mom never woke me up for school. She never told me nothing. Like, I had to do it myself, and I appreciate it. And sometimes I'm like, I have trauma from that mother. But sure. For me, I think the most important thing is a stable environment. And so that's what I have worked on for the last 4 years, is giving my kids a stable home, good role models. And I think that comes through standing up for myself and doing what I feel is best for me and my kids and our family. I
love that. That's awesome. And so you've mentioned stability and stable a couple of times, and I said I was going to come back to this. I know a lot of realtors. I meet a lot of realtors, and the most common thing I hear when people talk about why they got into real estate, oftentimes it's, oh, I love looking at homes. That's how it kind of starts. Or it's, or when they're in it, they're like, oh, I just love helping people like get their first home. You're the first person I've ever heard say, I want them to get into a stable environment. Why is that your thing? Like, yeah.
Because I haven't been able to give my kids a stable environment until recently. And I think I didn't grow up in the most stable environment. I did once I was 10. My mother met my stepdad, and after that, life was great. My dad, he's the best.
He's awesome.
But I feel like you can't grow to your full potential when you're not able to have that stable environment.
Why?
I just think that you keep moving them around and, going to dad's house, going to mom's house, going to dad's house, going to mom's house. Dad's not doing great, mom's not doing great. And so there's really never peace. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think you can grow in those environments. At least maybe you grow, but not to your full potential.
Sure. Yeah.
I just actually got back from San Diego at a national conference for NAREP, and
sorry, quick plug for NAREP.
Yeah, for NAREP.
Yeah. What is the NAREP?
NAREP is the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, and past president and my awesome sister's oncoming president. But we do a ton of educational events, and we were in San Diego when we got to hear from an astronaut who
Sweet.
Was the very first Hispanic Mexican farm picker who became an astronaut. And it was just really crazy hearing what he was saying, because literally my why. And he grew up with parents that were farm workers, so they would start off in like Stockton, California, then they'd move and move and move and move. And he's like, I would learn the person's name and then we would move. He's like, we never stayed for more than 3 months, and that happened in first grade, second grade, third grade, until I finally had a good teacher who came in and said, you're such a good, farmer. What would happen if you planted a tree and then you moved it every single year? And the dad said, well, it would be fine because you're watering it, you're feeding it, but it probably wouldn't grow up strong. It'd probably grow kind of little, and it might never bear fruit because it's just weaker.
So much.
Yeah, and you're just changing its environment.
Man, I'm getting chills. What a great analogy. That's
right?
crazy.
And
that's so good.
And it was like that's like the craziest thing, because I have to agree. My marriage with Josh has been pinnacle for my kids, and especially my eldest. I think he probably has seen the craziest side of life, and so stability has done a 180 for him. And so I know for a fact that I'm not just saying that, I've lived it and I've seen it, and I know that a lot of people crave stability. They crave the same place to come home to, the same amount of money that they have to bring in, and then once you can master that, then you can start bringing on other things, to your plate. And so that's what I would love to give people. I love to see them in a home with their baby, and then I just know they're gonna be there for a couple years, and then, when I see them again, their kids will be older and they're gonna be in a different spot, but they're going to be good because they've been attending the same school in the same location. So I want for them what my mom was able to give us really early on getting into real estate. So
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome. The stability piece too. I feel like when you hear stability, at least for me, complacency sounds like it could be affected by stability, but that's the difference too, is you can be stable and then go, I'm good, I'll just stay here. Or you can go, hey, we're stable right now, the baselines are covered, I have more confidence to take on this project or try out this thing because I know that, let's say it doesn't work out, my baseline's covered, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Josh and I are going to turn 3 years. In the first year, it was stability. It was going on vacation, the kids seeing him consistently, and both their dads are very involved, but when you're moving your kids around from house to house, it just isn't stable. Stable is the same routine, but it doesn't mean that you don't aspire for more. In a year, we bought our first home, and that came through stability. And then after that year, we finally, we felt stable. We've been able to maintain our house for a year. We're still able to do other things. Let's buy another house. And so, is it scary? Absolutely. You can't be complacent in your stability. It can only be a stepping stone to other things. And a lot of the times, him and I will be like, oh my God, are we ever going to have that? Are we going to have that? Are we going to have that? But then we remember it's only been 3 years.
Which is great. Yeah, what a great mentality to have.
It's only been 3 years, and in 3 years we've gotten will be our third home on Friday. We are buying our third home.
Will you close this Friday?
Yeah.
Dude, not 3 homes in 3 years? I told you guys,
Josh
she's a baller.
had the first house.
Still.
Before I met him. But
teamwork makes the dream work.
Right? I did get the renter. So.
There you go.
And it's been awesome, and I think the kids seeing us do that has also given them motivation to do well. My son had, my oldest son, really struggled with anger. Maybe because anger is like it's a feeling that we all recognize, and so we tend to just emulate that when maybe you're sad or whatever. Totally. But moving around was really hard on him. So in 1 year, complete 180, doing good in school. Josh has him dialed in, and that's what I feel stability is. It's not getting complacent in what you're doing. It's just finding that middle ground so that you can do more. Because if you're always trying to pick up, and I tell my clients that all the time, I'm like, just because you can afford a $500,000 home does not mean you need one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can live in something that's a little, smaller, or maybe
it covers what you need.
Exactly. And I think a lot of the times we get so involved with wanting the biggest thing or the best. Like, I could have gone out and bought a car 100 times now, but I haven't, because the bigger picture is that, 1, 2, 3, 4 homes. And yeah, it's been super cool. My kids now getting a bigger room and their own bathrooms, and like, you can still progress while still being stable. I think it's necessary.
I think all this stability does, when you're doing it right, it just moves your baseline up, right? And the other thought that came in my head is, as you were talking, is it's the difference between proactivity and reactivity. Because stability, it doesn't just mean you just go make more money and then you're just covering things. It's understanding, like planning out. Like, if we do this, if we invest here, it will do this, it will cover this piece, right? And then you're being very proactive. Like you mentioned, my time with the builder, it was reactive all the time. Because when you have that many transactions going, it helped that it was all within one company. But even then, it's a lot to manage, and like hiring people and then making sure that sometimes like people don't perform, and then it can hurt your business, right? And so it's just been interesting, because the last couple of years for me, I've made less money, but I have had way more time. I've gotten a lot better at being intentional with my time, planning things out, creating this stability like you're saying. And so it's just funny, the timing of you coming on this podcast and sharing this. This is something that I've really been honing in this year, and it's been awesome. So it's cool to hear you doing the same thing.
Oh, thank you. I think a lot of us get really stuck on like society, and you see what other people are doing, and so you want that too.
Yes, yeah.
And it's really not about that. I think you got to go through struggle to really appreciate it. And I think actually, I feel super happy that there are so many people that haven't had to struggle, but I have. And I've seen my parents struggle, and so I'm not gonna do that ever again. And I don't want my kids to go through that. And I saw that happening. So now I'm like, damn, I'm doing the same thing my mom did. She got her license, she bought us a house, we moved, and then she bought us a bigger house, and all our stuff fit in like one little corner of the garage. And it was that progression that made me realize, like, okay, I cannot not do well. I have to do well, because my mom has done so much to get us here. And I don't think my kids are that appreciative, but I think they'll get there hopefully sooner than later. Yeah, it's been super awesome.
Well, yeah, I love that for you. It's the kids not appreciating anything. This might have been 2 weeks ago. I can't remember who I was talking to, but we talked about our backgrounds, right? And it gets tough for me sometimes when my son complains about not having a Nintendo. Well, he has a Nintendo Switch, but just like something like that, where it's like, so-and-so has this, or like, my life is so hard. And the older version of me used to be like, dude, shut up. Like, you have no idea.
They don't. They don't get it.
Well, but then they don't. And they don't get our perspective because they haven't lived it. But then I kind of started to realize, I was like, that's all they know. And so for them, their baseline started higher than ours. And our parents' baseline started maybe lower than ours, right? And your whole thing you're talking about here is you feel your mom did so much for you, and you want to continue that trajectory because you've seen how much it's changed for you. Imagine how much more it's going to change for your kids if they keep that same trajectory, right? And
also that she had nothing and she did so much. And so I'm always like, man, if I can't pull this shit off, then I'm sorry, because my mom could barely speak English. She didn't know anybody here, and somehow she pulled it off. But yeah, they're not used to it. Like right now that we've been buying the house, it's been like tighten up our belts on certain things.
Sure, of course.
They're not used to that. So they're like, oh, are we broke? Because there's no soda. And I'm like, bro, like literally, no, we just didn't buy soda or something. But they see things like that. And so it's funny, but I always appreciate it because I'm like, at least they, have the ability to be like, our fridge is always full. What is going on here right now? Josh has been like, we're moving, so we're not buying any groceries. I'm like, it's in 2 weeks. It's in 2 weeks. Like, we're fine. Like, we still need to eat food until we leave. But yeah, it's been awesome. I think a lot of us, we forget, like, we don't have a real why. We're just like chasing a bag.
Yep.
And that can become a real big problem, because then your
It can create
integrity.
issues.
Yeah, I think a lot of people lose their integrity, and then they're doing real estate for the wrong reason. And that's another reason I'm always hesitant about teams, because I feel like when scarcity is an issue, then you start putting aside your morals, and things start going left. And so I never want to be, and my mom, that was like one of the first things she told me. She said, now that you have your license, I never ever want you to do something for the money if you think it's going to affect that person in the long run. She's like, you don't need it. I will always be there to help you. If you can't make it, if you don't close or whatever, we can figure it out. But what you can't figure out is bad karma.
Yeah.
So don't put people into homes that aren't good. Don't do things that don't sit well with your heart, and you'll do fine. And your business will be fine.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I glanced at my watch. Has it really already been 30 minutes? Dude, that flew by. Wow, this is
When you
great.
can speak well, maybe those other people don't carry conversations. Not just kidding.
No, it really has been awesome listening to you. And I feel like we're just barely scratching the surface, so we'll probably have to have you on again.
I probably need my own podcast.
You might.
Just kidding.
You might need one, Maybe this is the bedrock moment for you starting your podcast.
I need a podcast, yep.
Well, okay, so I do want to go through just a couple rapid fire questions.
Okay.
But man, I feel like there's so much more we can talk about. So seriously, maybe another time we'll do it again. But okay, what's one thing you believed about business that turned out to be totally wrong?
One thing I thought about business that turned out to be totally wrong? Well, I think one thing I thought was that I didn't have to have like systems in place to excel, like no CRM, no like no structure, no like payroll, or like no one like not keeping a single receipt, or planning. I do think that you cannot run and operate a good business unless you do every single component, or it will come back and bite you in the butt like it has for me. So really early on, I don't know what it is, but I would say like, I don't need a CRM, and then I would just run with that. And now I'm like, oh, if I had just done my damn CRM from the beginning, I would have this huge thing. So this massive database. So I do think that you cannot do things alone, and that's probably like the lesson. Like business is you do have to have team players.
100%.
Whether that be a TC or
an assistant,
an accountant, an assistant, there has to be people there so that you can do better.
I agree. I feel like delegation has been a huge thing that's helped me in any of my businesses, and it's understanding, okay, these are my strengths. Like I am not that organized, but I have people in my life who are, and they build the structure out, and they love to do it, and they're good at it, and so everybody just wins.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Okay. What was the first job you ever had?
The first job I ever had was, I've always done sales, always. Nice. From the first moment. I worked for Farmers Insurance.
Okay.
I was 15, so my mom had to drive me there. And he would give me this huge list of phone numbers, and I would just call and offer to give them an insurance quote. And he would pay me in 2 ways, per lead or per hour. So some days I'd be like, no, I got 7 leads. I want you to pay me per lead. Other days, I didn't got nothing, and so he would just pay me per hour.
What a great model to be on, though. Like,
yeah.
To me, that shows what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, not just smart, but like a caring manager, business owner.
Yeah, he was super cool. And yeah, the house we just bought is literally like directly across from that building. But
where you worked when you were 15?
Yeah, when I worked where I was 15.
No way.
Yeah, super awesome.
That's cool.
I've always stayed in Taylorsville, but that was my first job, and then I went to Foot Locker, and then I just stayed in sales. I sold cell phones, retail.
Nice. Okay, cool. Let's go one more. Okay, One entrepreneur, alive or dead, that you'd love to grab dinner with.
Barbara Cochran.
Oh, she's badass.
I
Why?
freaking
Now I'm
love
curious.
her. I think she is me. I don't know.
No, that's great.
I love her. I just love that she's all about woman power, and you know, she's been wronged by men in her life, and that was really her reason to
Like
do
her why.
well, her why. And
Yeah.
I think she said the first thing she did when she got her first commission is she went and she bought like the nicest Gucci coat. Not that I would do that, but she just said, like, I knew that if I wanted another transaction, I needed to look the part. And I'm really big on, you know, if you put it out there into the universe, it'll happen. And so, yeah, I love her. I think she's amazing.
I love that. Yeah,
I've seen her speak, and yeah, she's good.
Yeah, and she seems very grounded with the stuff that I've seen with her. Sometimes you get these like gurus or whatever that, I'll say right now, like Andy Elliott, not a fan.
Oh
right?
yeah, or like the Sirhan guy. Like there's just certain personalities where I'm like, I don't know, maybe
Works for them, not for me.
Works for them, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I don't know, they just had like a shoe in. She looks like she did it from the ground up, and she's like, oh yeah, I started this magazine and I called it like the #1 real estate magazine in New York. She's like, it literally wasn't. She's like, no one had seen it before, but then everybody started saying like, oh, you gotta get that #1 magazine in New York for real estate. And so perception is reality, and yeah, I love that about her. I'd love to sit and talk to her. She'd be
All right,
badass.
Barbara, if you see this, hit her up.
Yes,
Marcella's
please.
awesome. Okay, cool. So everything we've talked about today, if someone watching, if they could simply remember one thing from what you've shared with your experience, what would that be?
I would say stop living a mediocre life. Take responsibility for your personal actions and your non-actions, and that everything you have right now in life, you got. So if you want more, go get more.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Love
thanks,
it.
Keegan.
Thank you. And yeah, we'll close this out, but anybody watching, if you yourself want to be on this podcast, if you know anybody that you think would be a good fit, we would love to have them on. You can DM us, you can text me if you have my number. Oh, last thing, how can people find you? How can they reach out?
On social media at Marcella the Realtor, or Marcella Haley on Facebook.
Switched it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, once again, thank you so much,
Cool.
Marcella.
Thanks, Keegan.